So, a funny thing happened. You probably saw it on Twitter. Monday, the 22nd of November, a interview between Tucker Carlson and Kyle Rittenhouse is dropping. Kyle Rittenhouse, of course, acquitted on all charges, a conservative hero, out now to share his perspective on the world. And Tucker Carlson wants to get in on that. Tucker Carlson is, of course, a conservative. Anyway, I haven't seen the full interview. I don't know when exactly today it'll be released, and I also don't know how easy it'll be to watch it, given copyright concerns and accessibility and paywalls and stuff like that. But they were kind enough to show us a little miniature segment of it, which I had trouble finding a video version of, but this is a snippet taken from a news show that did have access to that little clip. So, here.
Rittenhouse granted an interview to Tucker Carlson of Fox News. He maintains the shooting was centered around self-defense, not race.
This case has nothing to do with race. It never had anything to do with race. It had to do with the right to self-defense.
Right.
I'm not a racist person. I support the BLM movement. I support peacefully demonstrating. And I believe there needs to be change.
And then it goes on to show a clip from the actual event, which seems like a sort of jarring juxtaposition. But so this is spectacularly funny. Now, I just want to say, by the way, beforehand, I'm pretty sure that even before Rittenhoused, he actually did say that he supports BLM, you know, in concept at least. So this isn't new. It's actually an adherence to the prior position that he had. What's funny to me is that he would actually maintain that position after what he's been through, because let's first of all, so I have so much to say about this. First of all, let's remove any claims of insincerity, okay? And let's take away political bias. Given what Rittenhouse has been through for the past 18 months, being love-bombed by the right and despised by the left, he possibly the most despised person by the general left since Trump, seriously, in terms of like mainstream media coverage. The fact that after all of that pressure from both sides, he would still maintain the position that he supports BLM, at least optically, he would, you know, that he would say that. I think that's really interesting. And honest to God, I think it's spectacularly funny. I really do think that's very funny. There are people on Twitter, conservatives, who are melting down over it. Of course, you can always find some people on Twitter who are freaking out over this, that, or the other. And, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily reflective of the general opinion, but it was some big viral tweet. It was like, you know, people were being like, I prayed for Kyle Rittenhouse to get free, and this is what he says. I saw people melting down on Poll, because, you know, because they want Rittenhouse to come out and be like, yes, I hate black people. Yeah, I would do it again, you know, but he comes out and he says this. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the tweet. 53,000 likes. Nice. I changed my mind. Kyle is not white. He's black now. Spent 3 weeks praying for this dude just to be acquitted, just for him to say this. It's all over, man. Society's fucked. It's all over. And these are small tweets, you know, they're little, but I do think that it's, especially when the full thing gets released, I mean, it's going to raise a few eyebrows, which I think is delightful, you know. I just want to say, by the way, I think that Kyle Rittenhouse should actually continue to provide contrary information, you know, really mix things up. I hope that in the full Tucker Carlson interview, he comes out in favor of trans rights, and then when he goes on MSNBC in 3 months to be dragged, you know, he'll say that he thinks that you know, we need to patrol the streets to keep thugs from destroying property. And I think he should oscillate, you know, like he'll go on Fox News and he'll be like, yeah, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with illegal immigration. It seems like they care a lot about coming to our country. And then he'll go on, like, you know, CNN, and it'll be like, yeah, you know, I don't really see an issue with the Proud Boys. They just seem to love their country. And I mean, they're rowdy, but, and just, woo, woo, woo. Now that would be fantastic. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be spectacular stuff. Now, I do want to say, by the way, okay, I don't know how much worth you can really ascribe to Rittenhouse's positions, because I've noticed this in my vaunted political career, that what people say and what they do don't always overlap. You know, you can say you support BLM, but then kind of adopt all the talking points people use to attack BLM. The fact that Kyle would distinguish, even now, between like the rioters he shot and peaceful protesters actually puts him above most conservative media outlets. Because most conservative media outlets have made it essentially deliberate policy to conflate between the two. You know, if they're pressed, they'll acknowledge that not every of the millions of protesters was a rioter, but for the most part, their language is designed to conflate the two. So for Kyle to, now, I don't know the full context of the interview. It's possible that in the rest of it, he does sort of exactly what the rest of the conservatives do, but at least in that clip, you know, he does seemingly unprompted, or at least of his own will, he distinguishes between the two, which I think is nice. I hope it makes conservatives angry, which would be fun. And I want to say, by the way, that I'm consistent about this, okay? If, first of all, Rittenhouse, come on my show, thank you. Second of all, if Rittenhouse ends up developing a more, if his media exposure after all of this points towards a more nuanced or thoughtful understanding of this than might be suggested, you know, from his behavior and his associations, then I will not maintain some performative dislike of him. Does that make sense? Like, if it turns out, I mean, I'm sure he's still a conservative, but, you know, if he does that, I'm not going to, you know, run around. Yeah, he's young. Even if his opinions are bad now, they could change. Yeah, he did hang out with the Proud Boys and did the OK sign, and I think that's bad and indicative, if not of racism, at least blindness towards racism. But how many of you were Nazis 3 years ago? The only point that I'm making is that we have now. How does it feel that the take you gave with your Destiny talk is aged like milk? It actually hasn't. I went back and watched it, and it didn't. But I know DGGers are constitutionally incapable of understanding words that come out of the mouth of anything other than their squeaky daddy. Pretty much everything in there was an argument morally about being there and about the logistics of self-defense, which I stand by, as I talked with Connor a little while ago. And I do still think that Rittenhouse's behavior, all of it today, like sort of collectively, points towards not only a place within the broader systemic forces of white supremacy, seriously, like right-wing pro-police militias, like patrolling, like race protests, looking for trouble. Come on. But also is at least indicative inferentially of racism on Kyle Rittenhouse's part as well. But inferences can change, and they're only ever inferences. And if the information changes, if he develops, or at least seems to develop in a way that I think is positive, then I legitimately, I can't believe I'm saying this, but, and I'll stand by it, you know, clip me if you will, I legitimately think that Rittenhouse has the potential to positively influence national discourse by becoming, through his actions, the hero, the angel of American conservatism, and then subverting expectations, potentially. One clip isn't enough, but potentially subverting expectations following that. I think he could be a disruptive influence that might be beneficial. You know? Now, is that likely? Probably not, but I do think it's possible. It would really depend on where he heads and what positions he extols or moves away from. It would be unsettling, if nothing else. Now, in all likelihood, he's just going to, like, intern for you know, a conservative congressman. Hopefully not Matt Gaetz. Whew. Hopefully not. He'll intern for, like, a conservative congressman, and he'll adopt the talking points, and whatever nuance or, like, individual texture there is to his perspective will be sand-belted away as he spends his time in the company of refined political, you know, advocates who speak in talking points and have nothing going on beneath the skull. If that's if he goes down that road, then he probably will not end up being a positive or disruptive influence. But we'll see. I will hold out for the very slim chance that he becomes the maverick enlightened centrist. Okay, Kyle Rittenhouse say trans rights. Fucking do it, man. Absolutely. Come on. Hit it up. Don't trust him? You don't have to trust him. But nobody's talking about trust. I'm not asking any investment from you guys. I'm asking you to spectate a hilarious snippet from a conversation that'll make conservatives mad, and to keep your mind open so you can fully appreciate the potential range of future options. I'm not asking for any trust, involvement, anything from you. Only observation. And a, you know, potentially a good guffaw if things go well. Or you know, maybe a fraction of a chance he bread pills and he starts dropping you know, left com red pills on Fox News. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine? And this isn't going to happen, but can you imagine if he went on, you know, Fox News and he was like, you know, maybe there wouldn't be so much unrest in the streets if we were actually committed to mitigating income inequality. They're like, yeah, by lowering taxes we can. He's like, no, by raising taxes on the wealthy and by investing heavily in infrastructure. For too long, the resources of this country have been exploited by the ultra wealthy who buy shares and dinners with pundits like you, Tucker Carlson. That'd be good. It won't happen, but 0% chance of that happening. 0.00000. I mean, incredibly low. But, well, you know, it's fun to dream.